I mean, I don't think Vengeful Spirit as a support is so valued that you first pick it ever.
He's a very good, I mean, not very good, but still a very reasonable core. Like he
I agree with
can function like a Luna. Like you push towers, you have the aura, you give your team. And he has a very good Aghanims upgrade at some point.
And he's low cooldown as well, which is very much fits MVP's playstyle, right? Yeah. They don't want to be limited by cooldowns.
So basically, like the opening drafts are telling us that MVP is going to go like for MVP things with the minus armor. They're going to have a strat, but OG is just going to be standard, like be very standard. SD Luna opening, we've seen this, 4 times today?
Yes. It's been very successful, right?
Let's not forget, this duo was the most successful and the most picked in the group stage, and it's come into the playoffs equally.
But clearly teams think that it's beatable. Otherwise, why would you just give it away every single time?
It's a good question. Why has it not been present in the bans?
Well, I think in this case, MVP Phoenix thinks in some ways they're going to beat it. I think they knew Luna Shadow Demon was going to be picked up in return for the Vengeful Spirit. And in their minds, right, Vengeful Spirit, if you said he's very similar to Luna, Vengeful Spirit, you could say it comes online just a little bit faster, right? Yeah. So Luna requires Luna will be able to go into later game much better, but Vengeful Spirit will hit much harder at 20 minutes usually.
It might be on purpose, like they give it away because they know that the SD Luna timing is a bit slower, so they want to play around, like abuse that timing because MVP is always about running at you. They take advantage of the point that they're stronger than you, and they're going to claim objectives, they claim towers, they smoke, they pick a fight.
Seeing a lot of MVP signs in the crowd.
It's very obvious they're going to go down the minus armor route. Look at their bans. They ban out the DK. DK is really good against like physical lineup.
And then goodbye Dro again.
And because you have the Luna, you're not going to be picking Sven as well. Sven is a very good carry to deal with all this minus armor strat because of the wall cry. And obviously the other one would be Timber. Timber is also removed. All the cores that are really good against a physical damage lineup are already removed from the pool.
But OG loves Dazzle.
Yeah, that's true. Dazzle is really good at dealing with minus armor, and they have SD. SD Dazzle Luna is very, very good.
It's one of the few I usually hate double defensive support duos, but Dazzle Shadow Demon is like the only exception because they have some early offensive capabilities.
But they're choosing to take out the Sand King, so this is actually a big tell that the Venge might be a core, because when you are running a short range carry in the safe lane, you don't want to get harassed by Caustic Finale. You don't want to get pressured a lot. Even with a Weaver safe lane, you don't want to deal with the Sand King.
And they got some minus armor of themselves now with the Slaughter picked up as well, and that pairs up great with the Shadow Demon in terms of setup and keeping open if it's an offlaner or a support, which we have both seen in the past.
Have they really played Slardar support?
I can tell you.
It's mostly just BP,
S4
right?
has played Slardar, but that is all. At least this tournament so far, let's put it that way.
And that leaves not a whole lot of aggressive offlaners left out in the pool. There's like Clockwork, but I think MVP Phoenix, in some ways, I think they were forced to ban away the Sand King just because they did not have first pick in the second phase. But OG snapping up that Slardar is really good because it also denies it away from Phoenix.
Oh, this is offlane Weaver with Abaddon, probably.
Yeah,
it's very old school.
And
we
it's
used
very
to see
good.
this combination a lot.
It's very good against the Slardar because you remove the M damage, and when he stun initiates, you are able to cancel that initiation off with the shield. So it's a very good anti-strat here picked up against OG.
Anti-strat.
I see what you did there. I see. For anyone that's wondering why you keep saying that, I was in rehearsals. I said anti-strat once, which is the CS equivalent of counter.
It's a cool name, Like we always say, just counter.
I feel like counter is more powerful than an anti-strat. If you're doing an anti-strat, it means that you're just doing to stop something that they're doing rather than also doing something that helps you at the same time.
Yes, I mean an anti-strat just means you've simply looked at their strategy and know what's coming. Oh, that's simply what's happening.
That's support Slardar for that's a first for OG.
Yeah.
So Jug's going to be the response.
Well,
standard stuff like
standard stuff.
Yeah, it's a very straightforward hero. And it's still fairly low cooldowns in terms of fighting if you're not fighting around the only
Not sure if it's a core Venge anymore with the Jug.
It's hard to say, right? But at the same time, you can't go too much later because you have both Weaver and Juggernaut who need a decent amount of farm.
But they might have picked the Juggernaut to deal with the Darkseer pressure because you don't want to have a bad lane against the Darkseer plus Slardar. We saw what happens if you have a weak lane. Like VP were able to exploit those weak lanes with Darkseer Slardar very well.
So you think the mid matchup is still open then?
Possibly, but I wouldn't say it's 100% for sure that the Juggernaut is going to be safe lane because QO still plays the hero.
I feel like we haven't seen, the Abaddon or Vengeful Spirit very often at all in this draft. Is this something, if you have a quick look, I'm going to try and do that now through MVP's previous games, or is this just something they pulled out? Is this the ace up the sleeve we were talking about?
MVP have played Vengeful Spirit before on Velo. So yeah, that was a core Vengeful Spirit earlier this tournament. But Abaddon and Juggernaut are the ones that they haven't played yet this tournament. Weaver, they have played it once on the offlane.
Yeah, but regardless of that, all those heroes are very short. They don't really play on cooldowns. Yeah. They are very suitable for MVP's kind of run at you play style, constantly fighting. And for OG, like we mentioned, they are going to try to outmaneuver you, take better fights. They have Darkseer plus Luna pushing the lanes, and with SD illusions, that's going to cause a lot of problems, because when you're playing against MVP always wants to fight. But if you have this kind of heroes that are constantly shuffling the lanes out, it makes it very, very difficult for them to find a timing to smoke. So in that regard, like OG is picking a very smart approach of how they are playing against MVP. They pick a lot of heroes that can clear out the waves.
And they're still getting enough teamfight heroes that they will be able to contest if MVP Phoenix, say, ignore the side lane pushes and just try and go for a tower push anyway. OG are still more than powerful enough with some of these longer cooldown abilities. MVP Phoenix might be able to abuse that fact, these longer cooldowns, wall, vacuum in some ways, eclipse.
Ooh. So it is indeed a support bench, like I suspected, after the Juggernaut pick. They want to have the Juggernaut to deal with the Iron Shell Harris in the safe lane. The Sniper, however, is very, very bold, because you have not seen any of the mid heroes of OG yet. But then again, when we were casting the Finland games, they just first face.
1-2.
They freaking first face Sniper, and it worked out for them.
We had a very good laugh about that.
What, just first pick?
No, first phase.
It was second pick for Finland, but it blew our minds. Just
and they won.
Nobody picks up that hero.
Yeah, they won that game. They won.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
We'll be talking about the Greeks tomorrow. They're going to be playing. That'll be the first time on main broadcast to see them.
How late do you think they can go with their mid? Like, do they want a really aggressive mid here, or do you think they can play like more of an Invoker style, or Ember Spirit?
Go Iron Shell hero, and it's a gap closer for the Sniper.
Yeah, it's still aggressive enough to play around at 15 to 20 minutes, which I like a lot.
If a Slada is roaming around a lot, they might be able to pick the Sniper off multiple times in the laning phase.
Okay.
I like the draft.
You like the draft? Is there a clear winner to this draft? No, that's why you like it.
Yeah.
Both teams have their own ideas. That's what I like about this draft.
Okay. We're going to see a clash of two very different game plans then coming into this draft. It's been a pleasure, guys. We'll be back to talk about this one, but it is time to see how exciting this game can get. It's time to introduce your casting pair for this one. It is the Double Davids. It's the voluptuous LD and Gods.
I've never been called voluptuous before, but I suppose now is as good a time as any. Gods, I know you're an MVP believer relative to the average viewer, the average fan.
Taking on OG, though.
Having seen the draft and looking at the overall series, do you think they have what it takes? They come in as pretty heavy underdogs.
Yeah, I think they're heavy underdogs. I absolutely agree. Every team here is so competitive, though, and every team has what it takes to say some generic non-answer.
All right, give us a real answer then.
But realistically, they've gone for a very unusual, unexpected draft here. The Abaddon, Weaver, Sniper, everything coming out is just stuff you wouldn't expect traditionally from MVP. Ember Spirit's a hero you wouldn't expect, but I'm surprised to hear myself saying this is a really good Ember Spirit game. It's just a hero that's not really all that relevant. It's fallen off a lot just because of the tempo it plays at. But when picked against the Sniper, it's a really good counter. When picked with a Darkseer, it's really powerful because you can put the Iron Shell on the hero. You play very kind of high tempo early on. So I like the hero in OG's draft, and I feel MVP are going to have their work cut out for them to make the Sniper pick work.
Well, it really is the dream Ember game. They have no silences. The only stun to speak of is the Venge stun, which can easily be disjointed by a Sleight of Fist, by a Remnant, to get back to safety. So, I mean, it might be one of those few Ember games where he doesn't even go for a defensive item. And on top of that, you have a Shadow Demon behind him. He's got the Ion Shell, as the analyst mentioned, to find those early pickoffs and potentially flash farm. So it feels like the dream Ember game, even if he is a largely forgotten hero. With that, the team's going to get ready for the old rune battle. Doesn't look like Vela is going to play this too aggressively, just kind of poking his snout out. But QO will get his own bounty run. So QO going to be on the Sniper mid. A bit less of a run-at-you type of hero than what we're normally accustomed to seeing from QO.
Yeah, still one of those, I guess, not kind of flashy heroes. I see it picked up. I'm not surprised to see QO on a sniper just because it's that they're playing around him. That's always been the MVP way, something that Febby talked about in the interview where it's like you play QOs where you play around him. He's the guy playing the fun heroes that pick up the kills, that basically decide the outcome of the game, and Sniper kind of fits the bill as far as this draft goes, and he's going to be getting the early game support. Dubu's already kind of sitting behind him. Interesting as far as lanes go, though, it was an OG decision to run an aggressive lane, putting Darkseer in the safe lane. S4 is going to be taking on the 1v1 matchup against Weaver, while Velo is going to be struggling against an aggressive tri lane down bottom.
That is very interesting, and as far as Juggernaut goes, probably one of the best carries to survive against this kind of aggression as long as you hold on to the Blade Fury, but of course, not likely to farm a whole lot. So OG with the aggressive tri-lane, trying to give S4 the opportunity to push out this top lane with the Ion Shell, then go farm the jungle. So far, his camps have not been blocked top, although MVP trying their best to mitigate that with Febby doing the side pulls.
Yeah, Febby's beating him to the punch, like, oh, you want to push out the lane, then go farm jungle? I'm just going to straight up farm the jungle myself. And already seeing a bit of a contest over that one up top. But mid lane, Anna's having a rough time getting harassed a bit, so there's a bit of a trade here as far as MVP is concerned. They're going to sacrifice Velo. He's playing that MP-style carry where they don't really look to play around him or guarantee his farm as long as they can make progress elsewhere, predominantly on Q. Even 4 of one of those players we often see more farm allocated to than other offlanes because of the impact he can have.
As far as the Ember having a rough game, I would say it's probably one of the games where it's more okay for that, given he has Ion Shell, and he's in a game where he is very difficult to catch. They have very little lockdown, so perhaps this is something he can come back from more easily, but definitely not having fun for now. Just the salve left in his inventory along with the poor man's shield, but the constant harass from QO is having its mark as we see 4F moving on to S4 a bit top lane, just some chip damage, but they have rotated off the full aggressive tri-lane gods. And they have now sent Jarek's top. Perhaps we're going to see him start farming with the Ion Shell. Pretty common when you run like a greedier support with the Darkseer to see that relatively early.
Career mid could be in some trouble here on the return. It's not going to be upgraded, and this should be a snipe. Had vision of it thanks to the creep wave, so Fly will at least get the money even though he doesn't deny the items.
Easy pick off there as Fly gets on the board. Haster expires at the buzzer, but had it anyway, I think, even without the haste. So OG off to a nice start here. They snipe the courier. That should relieve a lot of the pressure mid. Albeit against the sniper, this is not a hero that's too reliant on getting runes or the bottle, so, and as you mentioned, nothing on the courier anyway.
He has enough regen too. The 3 tangos left. He's not low HP. He doesn't need the courier right away.
No tail getting caught out in the bottom lane, and will try to TP away. Not going to happen. MVP just barely able to finish him off. Was left on a bit of an island. They were actually mid-lane swap with S4 coming down. But unfortunately,
gets for the TP.
Yeah, that was like 0.1 seconds left, it felt.
He had the 3 stick charges. He could have popped those before TPing, but yeah, it really looked like he should be fine. Velo in trouble now, getting very low. S4.
No Blade Fury. He does have the healing ward. He's going to salve up. S4 trying to stick onto him with the Ion Shell, but Velo able to juke away and survive, just showcasing that Juggernaut a bit more survivable than Luna at this stage of the game.
Yeah, really nice salve usage there, knowing the Ion Shell's not going to break it as well, so had to get the right click off, which Velo did a good job using the fog to his advantage. So seems like MVP having a bit of an edge here as far as the lanes go. Sniper with the CS advantage at mid lane. Weaver managed to kind of force OG to change up their lanes, and MVP kind of the tempo setters because they're the ones forcing OG to change their lanes.
And as far as that Weaver goes, for this stage of the game, as long as Sakuchi's ready, he's also not that easy of a kill. Maybe a crush following up a disruption could be enough, as we're going to see Jarex looking to catch out Dubu here. He's going to scout him going for that rune. He goes for the rune deny, but was it worth it? Sniper coming as well. All of a sudden, 4 heroes do get out at the top rune. Ana quickly dropping low, though, has to run away. QO pressuring it back. They'll turn into Jarex. This early game shrapnel doing work, but still has the boots. Maybe he can survive. No, Febby comes in. And a parade of MVP heroes enter the lane as Ana thinks about moving in, but has nothing really to work with here. No Flame Guard, and not even close to level 6.
Yeah, hoping the Venge walk by, not the Sniper, but...
Well, looking at the draft gods, MVP, not really the best team fighting lineup. They have great carries, but obviously a lineup that needs to have a good start to avoid getting run over by that mid-game wombo combo of OG, and so far, dare I say it, they're having a pretty damn good laning stage.
Yeah, they're getting what they needed out of their heroes, which is fighting early, finding a pick-off or two here or there. They want to keep playing this aggressive, the MVP style that you kind of come to expect, and I don't doubt they're going to kind of continue at this pace and continue to look to make some early moves around the Venge rotations. Abaddon's going to heal up QO and Suicide. That is about as Femi talked about playing non-impressive heroes, and that sums it up.
That means no Abaddon for this potential smoke gank as OG move in. They want a piece of QO. Dubu there with the stun, but already the disruption's been engaged with. Not sure how much it's going to help at this point. QO goes down. Dubu a bit late, and with no Abaddon, they're able to cleanly disengage so far. There will be no counterplay, and in fact, look at Fly just going for a deeper ward. He's going to keep the vision up for these ganks heading towards the mid game.
Yeah, Febi's chasing him, but unlikely to be able to do too much. Trying to get the intel of where those wards are going down.
They're just applying. They have so much vision on the bottom half of the map, and potentially we see OG trying to pressure this tower and take over the Radiant Woods very early.
Yeah, I believe the Venge could have maybe made a better, more optimal play there, trying to stun the Slaughter, which was the follow-up to the Shadow Demon. He went for the stun on Fly, which wasn't going to really accomplish all too much, but at the end of the day, QO's back mid, he's farming once more, looking to get that level 6, and likely see him play a less farm. It's nice one of those series you can't just sit there farming, because if you're sitting around farming by yourself, you'll just get ganked by these gap closers like Ember Spirit, Darkseid with the Surge. He's got to try and push and gank around his team or have his team play around him, so I don't expect him to just sit mid by himself going into that kind of post-laning stage.
So back to 3 heroes bottom. OG are going to leave No-Tail undefended top, but he has Eclipse now, so diving him a bit risky. That Sakuchi's on cooldown. They're going to try to do some side pulls here, looking to maximize the experience with the Ion Shell, the ability to quickly clear these stacks, and we will see rotation by QO Gods, as Ember has hit level 6, a bit vulnerable perhaps mid. He's going to come top. And the Luna's out. It's No-Tail bottom, so both teams looking for the early tier 1 tower trade.
There's a lot of heroes missing from the map. They don't have vision of ever. They will now have vision of everyone at bottom.
Phalo going to get clipped there by the initial crush. Blade Fury and should be okay. Febi was sitting behind him. And the pings come out. MVP trying to push this top tower, but they don't push all that quickly.
And OG's pressuring both bottom and mid. This is one of the views of the Ember Spirit pick with the lack of lockdown. Honor's not afraid. When he sees heroes missing from the map, he's probably thinking, well, I've got an escape regardless, whereas QO has to leave the lane when heroes go missing from the map. So playing in the fog really plays to OG's strengths because it makes it very hard for Sniper to farm.
They're hoping to bait out Ana here. He has already committed the Flame Guard. If they could chew through this with the Blade Fury and he sticks around, maybe a Venge stun could find a kill, but not happening just yet, as both tier 1s about to fall. Glyphs already expended across the board. So Forev and QO, they team up top. QO will get the last hit. Meanwhile, No-Tail grabbing his own tower bottom. Very passive kind of follow-up here to that early laning stage where we're seeing both teams largely looking to dodge fights. What's like the next 5-10 minutes look like to you for each team, Gods? What are the goals for each squad?
I think Honor just wants to get his core items up, be it the Boots of Travel or like a fast drums, because he can farm by himself. So OG's going to play this kind of 4-1 split where they look to use the Eclipse and play around No-Tail. Meanwhile, Honor's going to be ready to fight because of how elusive it is. And MVP, they want to 5-man towers.
They do have the healing ward to work with, as well as the Abaddon sitting in reserve. Still no swap to initiate a fight, and Ana's going to try to slow this down, but with nobody to easily snipe that healing ward. A lot of pressure on this tower already. OG clearly not wanting to give it up too easily. No-Tail already used his TP to go top, though, so there won't be an Eclipse for any potential fight. Even Forev joining the fray, so it is going to be a full 5-man for MVP. They bring the tower down by about a third. They won't be able to fully cave it in yet, but they're going to move now up towards top. They might try to isolate No-Tail here.
Yeah, they see
go for a pick-off. There's no dire vision of this.
They're very quick to get up there.
But he's got his spidey senses tingling.
He's tucked himself in pretty deep there. As you kind of mentioned, very dangerous and risky to dive that Eclipse Luna.
The other thing is OG are really good at chasing. Between the Remnants, the Sprint, and the Surge, if you overextend, you're in a lot of trouble.
Get stunned up after the Fire Remnant, but Honor's not in any danger at all.
The dream Ember game, aside from the lane not being the easiest. Tough to actually pin him down. MVP, though, they will continue their siege and their pressure. But we see the full rotation. Ana coming into the trees. The pings come out.
This is really what MVP's draft does best, is like push as a group. You can't really initiate onto the Jug because he's got Blade Fury, you've got the Sniper who just sits far enough back where you can't go on him, and bit of damage from the Venge Aura as well as Febby just to make sure anyone who does get initiate on can be healed up and shielded up. But ultimately, OG can get more out of the map. If you kind of group up, pushes forward, you don't even get the tower. OG have Jerax at bottom getting levels and farm. They've got Luna at top, so they're just getting more across the board. It really feels like MVP are going to have to transition this Weaver into like a true carry because of how much they're kind of investing in. He is the top net worth hero as far as their 3 cores go.
Yeah, now the scary part here is we will see a skirmish in the jungle. So that thought, Omni Slash onto Jerax. Velo tracking him down with the help of Dubu. Good pick off there for MVP. I'm just looking at S4 though, guys, and he has a mech already picked up. So if you try to 5-man again, you're doing it into a level 3 vacuum and Eclipse, the Ember Spirit AoE, you are going to get blown up.
Yeah, OG's teamfight, definitely the more potent of the two, and perhaps that's where we see MVP play more of the split push game. They can't split push with Sniper because he gets caught, but Weaver is kind of playing that split pushing carry role. This is almost like a Bulldog-esque style play coming out from the off lane. We'll see Ana get fairly low here at mid.
Yeah, that Flame Guard, not particularly healthy as far as the damage it can soak up still goes, with a bit of chip damage, but they're not going to press the issue. They continue to work on this tower mid. Almost in deny range, as now they surge on it, and they're trying to make the move forward. Velo just has mana for the Blade Fury in case he gets caught. Fly going to unleash the Soul Catcher, but the counter initiation comes in the form of some Shrapnel, laying it down and assassinate on Ana. Not nearly enough to finish him off, especially with the mech, but it does secure the tower for Ev. Scattering a bit deeper towards the OG backline, so they grab another tier 1.
MVP are playing very well. Like, they're making the most out of it. I feel like their draft has very few windows into this game as far as timings when they're strong, as far as being able to scale and deal with the Ember Spirit, but they're making the most of like the few very small windows they have. The fact they've taken the tier 1 mid and the tier 1 top into the mech timing of the Darkseer is really useful for them, and they can kind of fall back and play a farming game. They've got 3 cores that all go well late game. Jug, Weaver, and Sniper, they've kind of got the carry advantage longer this goes. OG, it's a single core Luna and I guess Ember Spirit, depending how they want to play the Ember. Often you'll see the Ember go more of that fighting style with the Darkseer. If anything, they're going to look at this game and be like, Honor really needs to play that carry style Ember, get big and get a lot of items, but his net worth is just 3.4k. He has not had an easy time in the mid lane.
Yeah, still looking for the upgraded boots or even progression towards it at 12 minutes into the game. And along with that, No-Town going for the Dragonlance. So we're not seeing a Dominator rush, we're not seeing any sort of greedier play, just combat-oriented builds, even the mech on the Darkseer. And OG, they want to make the most of it. They're going to smoke around. It is nighttime. Will MVP scout this out? They seem to be aware the ping's coming out. Febby even dragging creeps into that woods, but there's Luna Illusions to scout him out. Look for the initiation. Who's going to get the jump? Ana actually getting revealed here, though I don't know if they saw him. The smoke was broken. They think he might have been just out of range, but they clearly know there's something brewing from the Green Dream.
Dire Scan pops, then unpops, so they probably have an idea that MVP. They know MVP are kind of 5-man pushing, likely at that tower, and Jerax is looking to come in from behind.
Still no amplify damage. Keep that in mind as this fight could break out momentarily. S4 going to try to initiate. He gets stunned by the Venge off the bat. Will they try to focus him down? Howl holds the mech is a crucial part of the team fight. Already they've committed the Omni Slash. Now the back goes the other way. Velo being forced back, purged and controlled, while meanwhile QO in the trees has been isolated. Sniper brought down, the Eclipse raining from above. The Lucid Beams too much. Velo will be the 3rd, make it the 4th down. OG, not the craziest initiation, but solid, gods, and they really show off their team fight prowess in that engagement.
Yeah, it was solid enough, and the biggest issue there for MVP more than anything was Jug didn't have mana. He only had 1 spell. He went for the Omni Slash rather than the Blade Fury. It doesn't really, it's not like the reason, I don't think that's a bad call or anything, but he really needed both spells. The Omni Slash just gets 2 heroes low, and there's no follow-up Blade Fury, and then he also doesn't have the Blade Fury to help dodge some of that magic damage coming out.
Yeah, we'll have another look at the fight here. You can see S4 was stunned initially, kind of delayed the full OG initiation, but he gets the mech off, and they're just so strong in the 5-man. On top of that, the Sniper trapped in the trees. They don't have Venge swap yet, so Dubu can't save him, only level 5, and it's one of the big reasons why you'd like to pick the Venge. The Baden also went down, also didn't have borrowed time for that team fight, so 2 huge defensive ultimates not available, and OG able to punish.
That fight works if OG can't get on top of MVP, but the smoke wraparound from behind meant they had a good way to force a fight onto the back lines, and MVP couldn't bail QO out.
They might find Jerax here, though. There's the Venge stun to start things off. Can Velo get in position? Doesn't have Omni, and isn't in range, so a missed opportunity here, and S4 looking to hold this tier 2 top.
He's even maxed out sprint and everything on this ladder. MVP, though, they love to go. You use your ultimates, we lose a fight, while we just go run at you now that your ultimates are on cooldown, and That's exactly what the plan is up at this top lane. Velo and Forek just trying to chip away at this tier 2 tower.
Has to be careful with the amp damage. He will get Vac back in. Has the Blade Fury. There is still no swap. He just needs basically a creep wave and he'll have it.
I mean, the XP advantage is kind of crazy right now for OG. They have a 5,000 experience lead just because of how much MVP are 5-manning.
Dubu getting hounded here by Ana as he moves in, finds the Venge, finds the kill to start the fight. That is the power of the Ion Shell plus Flame Guard, and now Velo purged. Will have to TP out. That leaves Jerax free to roam out of the back lines. So he gets away, Febby into the trees. Looks like he'll escape too, but again, it's OG applying the pressure elsewhere. They also got the tower deny for S4 during that time.
Yep.
So the gold overall continuing to go more and more their way.
Yeah, fairly minor gold lead, but it's still something considering that you're down as many towers as you are. So I think when you're considering down your tier 2 and 2 tier 1s and only taking the one bottom tier 1 yourself, it's a big win for OG, who are just out farming and getting way more as far as overall efficiency goes across the board.
I mean, we're 16 minutes in, Gods, and Dubu still no swap. Like, he'll have it probably before the next fight, but this has been kind of a rough mid-game here for the MVP supports.
Yep, I mean, the call is kind of being like, just stick with QO, push these towers, stick behind Velo on the Juggernaut, and as a result, they haven't really had any. Normally, you'd see the carries go and fight, and then a support takes a lane. No, MVP have just left lanes empty. They have missed out on so much farm on the map because they've been forcing these pushes as they have been, and they haven't really been rewarded. They're not getting the kills as well. They're getting a tower, but it's costing them a lot of time, and it's just not really the most efficient way to play. They need that one big fight to kind of blow things open, because towers alone are not going to win them this game right now.
Well, this could be the time. Darkseer has bought Blink, but he's not in position to help his team bottom. At the same time, Ana, a very tough kill. And we'll see this one coming. Juke's back behind the trees. It is daytime now. Even tougher to initiate. So they'll go back to farming the jungle, but it looks like with S4 having that blink, it has not been scouted yet by the Radiant. They are going to try to force the issue, dropping a sentry down in the trees. They want this to be a little surprise for the Koreans. And so far, it looks like it is, though. They're not quite taking the bait.
The Dire Ward spots 5 heroes, and I think OG are just like, well, we could try and fight. We've got this Blink Dagger, but also we could just go farm our jungle, farm mid, and...
I mean, I don't really know if they can kill him. They're going to try for it, though. The swap, the Beatles as well.
Will, yeah.
Pretty quick burst damage, not even bothering with the mech. He will pop it at the final hour, but they have the damage, and they get the kill.
Yeah, just got caught in the retry. OG were making the right call as far as pushing mid, pushing top, farming their jungle. They were going to play... They're playing the efficiency game. That's what's gotten them ahead as far as a huge experience lead, and even a gold lead being down towers, but S4 just slightly caught out there. A bit of a misplay, but ultimately... it's still a win for OG. They got a tier 1 mid. They're now pressuring the tier 2 at mid lane. They'll lose a tier 1 at bottom, but that's not the end of the world for them. They're doing way more pressure and getting way more farm than MVP are. As long as they can stop MVP's push, they're going to be just fine. And they'll be able to do that later on. They're going to meet them at this tier 2 tower, perhaps, with the Darkseer respawn.
They deploy the healing ward. MVP continuing to apply pressure to the tier 2, and they'd love to bring this down to limit the Luna's access to the Ancients to try and shut down a little bit the OG farm game. Those bouncing blades making life difficult. No-Tail also has the level 2 Eclipse, and Darkseer now online again. OG sending their 2 big initiators down through the secret shop, perhaps looking for a wraparound, or perhaps just doing the split push. We'll find out soon, but the tower has fallen, no deny.
They smoke up, but they're just a bit late, a bit slow to get there in time. To punish this, and 4 is already TPing out, and MVP, they have no intents of pushing high ground or anything, so if you're OG, it's almost like once that tower's down, you've missed your opportunity.
They might try to sneak a Roche here, expecting those TP out. Thinking about it anyway. They scan the bottom lane.
Definitely possible with that
There's
damage.
No tier 1 for the Radiant, either mid or bottom, but no, they're hunting for kills now. 2 Hero Crush almost available for Jerax, but they will TP out in time. He will find Febby. Febby does have borrow time, so this is going to be a bit of a nuisance to kill. Completely isolated, has no real help. Drops the shield, now the borrow time. Jerax still hounding him, just staying in target. He wants that follow-up crush to go for multiple kills, and S4's there with the back. Eclipse coming through. All of that just for the bench thus far. Now the Remnant forward. Ana looking for a bit more, gets onto the back lines, tries to bring down that Abaddon, will do so, but the physical damage is a lot. He's got a Remnant back. He barely gets away. Can QO assassinate? He will, but it doesn't matter. Already the body has hit the floor. OG, they bit off more than they can chew. There's a buyback from the Abaddon. The kind of fight that MVP love to get, where they can chase you and isolate you and pick you off one by one. Now No-Tail looking for the deny. Fly has fallen. He won't get the neutral deny. It's 4 for MVP. basically gifted to them by an over-aggressive OG dive.
That Slider just looks, the Abaddon just looks straight up dead, but they have to chase him so far because of the ultimate that you're suddenly at an MVP tier 2 tower and they're ready to fight you. You're ready to fight, MVP's always ready to fight.
Well, so much for any ambitions of OG sneaking the Roshan, as it will be MVP just straight into the pit. They know even if OG come to fight, there isn't an Eclipse, there is no wall available.
And they took the tier 2 bottom tower, so that's one of the closer towers to Roshan, so they feel very safe in doing this. The 3 Agi carries, of course, able to bring the Rosh down nice and fast, and the physical damage is not something to be scoffed at. While they can't lock the Ember down, he can't also really fight at this stage because if he holds his ground, he's just going to melt to the physical right click. So he needs to get more items and just play that kind of constant chip Ember that can split push, that can avoid fights almost at this point, because MVP now with an Aegis are very hard to engage into.
Not to mention, 4F gets a lot more dangerous now. Has the Diffusal Blade for the Darkseer, who may be relying S4 on a Surge or Ion Shell to win them fights. Even the Ember Spirit Flame Guard has to be very careful. This has been revealed. And they do have their blink on JRX now as OG creep in. The top lane could be a good opening, but this is a fairly tanky Weaver. He whiffs the crush, he reveals the blink. Had the ward, but 4F quick on the reactions and in fact going to immediately force that Ember to Remnant away. But like you said, even though they don't have catch, just that one little auto attack from the Weaver, taking almost 1/10 of the Ember's health away.
Yeah, and if Ember doesn't have a Remnant, you can't suddenly Remnant when you're diffused because of the slow movement speed. That Remnant is going to go out slow as a snail.
Don't sleep on the headshot either. You know, you combine those and that Remnant is crawling.
And MVP smoke up. This is one of those smokes which should be obvious because no one's defending the top tier 2, but MVP just do this crazy stuff that somehow still works, and JRX with the Blink Dagger will have to react fast if he doesn't want to get caught out here.
They saw OG evacuating, but they won't be able to get there in time to punish.
They should have a very good idea of exactly where they are on the map. And the question is now, if you're MVP, do you 5-man push mid? Do you actually go back and play the farm game because there's farm at bottom, there's farm at top? MVP just seems to be a team that doesn't care if there's farm on the map to be had. They want to go farm heroes.
So, Gods, you mentioned MVP have a really strong tri-core. They have a lot of late-game damage. Obviously, they don't really have the best team fight. And with that in mind, comparing that to OG, not farming very well on the Ember Spirit, although he is catching up pretty nicely on, I should say, 4-1 and 3 now, but not like explosively far ahead. Do you favor either team going late, or do you think they can both take it there?
I think right now, I mean, going late, perhaps OG get a bit stronger just because of how difficult Ember will get to deal with and the teamfight advantage. Right now, the teamfight advantage is not a problem for MVP because of the sustain. The sustain actually matches up against the teamfight of OG with the Abaddon as well as the healing ward. The fact Sniper can sit so far back. Jug has Manta and Blade Fury. He's got 2 good defensive tools. 4 is a Weaver. That's a hard hero to catch and go on. So OG are not that scary yet in a teamfight setting because MVP can kind of outlast them, but the longer this goes, it will get better for OG because Anna's split push isn't really all that potent without items. Similar story for the Luna, but give these heroes a few more items. You're going, I mean, late game for Shadow Demon as well, like the Shadow Demon disruption on the Luna illusions as well as what Jug illusions, whatever you may get, is always going to be a problem.
A Purge basically deletes most carries from the fighter. I mean, maybe the Jug can Omni Slash and kind of wait it out. It makes life more difficult.
This is crazy from Kyo, though. He's rushing BKB. I don't think I've ever seen this on Sniper. First item BKB, let's go. That's like we want to end the game now, and I think it's because they recognize longer this game goes, they are going to struggle to win it. As much as you look at them saying, oh, they've got 3 cores against 2, they've got all these Agi heroes, they should scale. They really don't because they don't have the cats, they don't have the team fight, they don't have the lockdown, so they want to end games now. You don't buy a first item 23-minute Sniper BKB to drag the game to 40-50 minutes. You do this because you want to be able to fight and win fights right now and try and end the game.
But Gods, the concern is, will they be able to force those fights? Because OG, we've already talked about Ember being very hard to catch. They're playing extremely defensive now, lots of split push, always parking supports or initiators behind the Ember, as well as behind the Luna, so there aren't too many easy pickoffs here. Going for the BKB, do you think they can actually find them? As I say that, JRX going for the crush, then the TP out. Will 4F the damage? He just does the match. Yeah. Brains him now with the Sakuchi, as well as the Geminate attack. Nice pick there.
They're likely going to go for the push bottom lane. S4's in a good position to skip the next creep wave.
And already Ana doing the same thing top. He is applying a lot of pressure to this tier 2.
Velo's TP back actually suggests they're probably looking at the lane equilibrium and thinking they can't really go for the high ground play here.
Velo trying to bully Ana away. Ana Just going to play it safe and back off. Did complete the Battle Fury. He is caught right up and is now the most farmed hero in the game. Got to imagine he's going to continue to accelerate his farm with basically nothing to worry about as far as ganks go. But there is a fight brewing now as N0tail's going to get caught out in the mid lane. Disruption to try and keep him alive a bit longer. N0tail too low to even bother with an Eclipse. He's down for the count. Now the stun on Fly. This is the kind of chaotic fight that MVP live for. Can Fly make it away? Looks like the Urn Charge should be enough to take that Shadow Demon down. The counter Urn Charge a bit too late. He will fall, and S4-2 make it 3 just like that. No buyback on Luna. Instantly, MVP on a silver platter have been gifted the dream scenario to push.
The Dire creep wave was at the tier 3 mid. Like they didn't even have a creep wave anywhere nearby. It was a great smoke. They TP back to, like, they had the Jug pushing out top, but then they smoked their 3 heroes towards the mid lane to go and fight well past the creep wave. They do these unpredictable maneuvers that completely catch you by surprise. And Dubu's swap catching S4 at the secret shop was fantastic. That got them the bonus kill, and Darkseer doesn't want to buy back here. He's 10 seconds away. They're just going to probably use the glyph, but not their buybacks here. This is a lot of damage, and even when you're back alive, it's a hard fight to win into MVP's BKB Sniper.
Yeah, even just the level 1 Vengeance are still packs a punch as OG will have the full complement of heroes and abilities ready to go now. Can they take the fight? That's the question. S4 smoked up, look for the blink back to get it started. He only finds Velo, who immediately Blade Furies. He'll survive. Now the Eclipse comes out. Devi gonna tank that up easily with the borrow time, and 4Ev pumping damage into Jarex will bring down the Fishman. Now turning on to N0tail. Time lapses it off, dives a bit further. Fly, no disruption for a few seconds. There's the Purge, the big dives, a 2-for-1 thus far. If 4 can get the kill, it would be huge, but he's low, in danger. S4 blinking back to force that pesky bug away, and with a shield and a heal, he should survive. Ends up being a 2-for-1, but they did have to commit everything there. The tier 3 falls, some chip damage on the range.
And if you know anything about MVP, they're going to respawn and run right at you just again. That was a good hold from OG. It's still costly losing a tier 3 there. That was the cost of getting picked off and not wanting to use their buybacks. They're also down a glyph now, so if MVP get in a similar position, they're not going to have glyph to defend their racks with, but they do manage to hold and buy themselves some time. Ember made a really good call, just went straight for the backlines, took out the Venge first. That was the only means of disable there. So Honor basically took out both the Sniper as well as the Venge all by himself there, and also the Healing Ward, which was causing a lot of problems.
Yeah, I did mention he only caught 1. He actually caught QO, but the issue is QO with the BKB isn't really the easiest kill once they back up, but they were able to force him to disengage.
Yeah, I think MVP's downfall this fight was really that they had 2 heroes kind of split back dealing with the Ember, and the other 2 or 3 charging forward. 4 ideally needed to either stick with the Sniper and try and deal with the Ember, or we needed to see QO just ditch the Venge and then go for the front lines there. They kind of split up their 2 main damage dealing heroes in the Sniper and the Weaver, and those 2 needed to kind of focus in on a target.
Can definitely see some intensity there from Febby. He's a very mild-mannered guy, but outside of Dota. But when it comes to Dota, the gloves come off. As Dubu will find Fly, who has a Blink Dagger, not going to easily be able to get away with it. Goes for the Soul Catcher, and he is going to use the Purge and Disruption on the Luna Illusions. Almost dead to the Assassinate, but instead those Luna Illusions turning around, chewing through Dubu, will find the kill. Fly, a bit of style points there, makes it out, and will live to tell the tale.
Even the Jug getting low Velo. We'll have the Healing Ward there to help him sustain himself.
And that is something we need to talk about, is can they deal with the Shadow Demon Luna spam? Do you think they have the tools?
AoE non-existent, so no.
Got a Maelstrom on Sniper, you know?
They don't have the tools. That's why they want to keep going and end the game now. They pick up a Vlad's on the Abaddon. They have Vlad's, they have drums, they have all these items to fight now, but the split push is constantly plaguing them, and it's going to lead to a Jug pickoff.
Good pick there. It's the level 2 amplify damage now, and with the Jug dead for 50, OG will buy even more farming time.
As soon as you kind of show yourself on the map as MVP, Ember's like going to another lane, like split pushing it, getting it close. It always feels like one MVP's pushing out one lane, but then the other 2 lanes are at their tier 3 towers. MVP have no ways to kind of control the creep equilibrium, and it's causing them big, big problems.
And N0tail said it in the interview. He felt like MVP have one main way to play, and you know, while it is a very successful style in some scenarios, not something he would want to run every game. And despite some different picks, it's still the same overall look from MVP. You have to have a good start, need to keep the pressure up all game, whereas OG, much more of that ticking time bomb style, and it seems to be paying off now as they will jump, assassinate Dubu, and then see you later, says Mr. Ana. Back to the rune, and then back to farming mid, and you can just see the way OG are moving around the map, gods. Constantly, dire heroes spread out, taking advantage of mobility items. We've seen now a double Blink Dagger for OG. They've had it for a little while. The BOTs as well. Jarex does get caught here. by Forev, but Ana's there to cover his retreat. Yeah. And they're just, like you said, they're just outmaneuvering them, farming all over the map. Not a whole lot MVP seem to be able to do about it.
You look one way, MVP trying to deal with one threat, and then suddenly the other side of the map, there's an SD Luna bottom. It felt like the Ember at top with split push was a threat. Well, now you're going to worry about bottom, you're going to have to worry about mid. Every lane just being pressured, and they found another pick off at top. It's a kill onto the sniper, and meanwhile, bottom lane, high ground is being breached.
And this is before the Ember gets his really big items. Ana still no completed data list, but Artie's the Chrysalis is caught up just beautifully.
They have no catch. They have 0 stuns locked down. They have no way to punish OG when they're... OG is split around the map. 2 heroes bottom, 2 at top, 1 at mid, and no way
it's even a level 1 swap. There's no Aether Lens here. Like the initiation is just pitiful for MVP.
You swap in that hero. If it's an Ember, he's just going to remnant away. If it's a Slider, he can blink, or he's going to have a 4-staff soon. That's the thing. The lack of disables isn't just terrible against the Ember Spirit. It's also going to be terrible against a hero like Slider. When he has a 4-staff and a blink, he can blink in, crush, and then you can't even punish that because he'll just 4-staff on out of there. So,
not to mention behind that hero is a Shadow Demon with the blink a lot of the time.
It's going to be... this really comes down to MVP making one like miraculous smoke play or finding a key pick-off somehow, and then ending the game. They were close to doing that bottom lane. That's why they went for that risky high ground push, because they know they cannot take this lane.
They might be getting caught now. Balo will commit the Blade Fury. They're going to think about a wraparound here. That Slardar moves into position, gets off the crush on Febby instantly. The borrow time has been committed. There is still a Shadow Demon fly, patiently sitting behind Jerax. Ana joining him as well, can get that disruption off potentially. Will do so now. Got to kill off the Swarm and try for the blink out. Jerax on the run. They will force him back. Velo blowing the Omni Slash. Does not manage to find the kill. Wanted to stop that blink away, but won't happen.
That's rough. They did such a good job helping out Jerax there. Everyone was hitting the Beetle. They had the Ember Spirit coming in the Beetle, then the disruption at the last second, enabling his blink to come up. Just great team play. I mean, this is what Fly kind of became known for. You go back to that first major win for OG, it was that double defensive support style. This time they've only got 1, but that's all they need.
It's only 1, but it's in a game where you don't really need 2, you know? So it feels like they have 2 in a tougher game almost.
I mean, they'd be fine without the 1 with the lack of lockdown, but having 1 definitely makes it damn near impossible. And
I mean, is that where for MVP, like we should have seen, I don't know, an Orchid or something from the Weaver, something a bit less conventional?
I was trying to think, like, what are the items? And like you say, the Orchid type items, but that's where the disruption is still there to save. Jug's going to have to go into some kind of like Blink Abyssal build. Sniper, there's no items you can get really for lockdown.
And then all of that is just single target disable to be countered by a good Blink disruption.
Maybe Weaver goes for a Hex next. I'm baffled.
Swapping a Hex, pretty potent, but again, it's a level 1 swap on a very squishy and poor bench.
It's like, who gets those kind of lockdown items? Orchid at this point could work for a small while on his Ember Spirit, but as soon as he sees you building it, or as soon as he sees it, he's going to just go straight Manta.
Well, the graphs tell the tale that no tell foretold as they continue to tip the way of MVP, take it a bit later, play it nice and slow, and they can start to pull ahead. As I say that, Jerax maybe going to get caught here, does get isolated, assassinate, Feudal Crush, down he goes.
They want to really...
A nice pick, but again, look at the top lane.
Yeah,
Ana's already in the base, he's shoving in the creeps, he's wailing away at the tier 3. They don't really care if they lose that Slardar.
MVP want to ignore that. If that top lane wasn't pushed, they would be going for the high ground at bottom, but because of Ana's presence up there, they have to TP, they have to go defend it. Febby is just being ignored. Ana's like, I'm just going to hit some buildings here. This is fine for me. But Roshan
this seems good, but not so much for MVP as they try for the Roshan. They've thrown the Swarm in. Those glaives almost shredding Balo instantly. He will barely survive while simultaneously they back you up on the high ground. He's going to go for the TP out. He will BKB, escape successfully, but at the same time that isolates them at the Roche pit, where, by the way, Ana's back into the fray. He's got the mobility that MVP are lacking. They get on top of the big rock, and how convenient. He's ever so low, frantically hustling back. MVP try to get into position, but they do so without a sniper. BKB at the same time. S4 won't have the wall for this fight, but this Luna illusion, such a pestilence. And QO just continuously being forced back, and they just don't have the clear for these.
Honor's a bit low, which could be a bit problematic. He can't really play as aggressive as he'd like.
Oh, this is going to be their Roche gods.
There's Roche.
And easy Aegis, thank you very much, says No Tail.
Makes life a whole lot more difficult, as MVP will have to full retreat. At this point, I think you kind of have to accept the fact, like, the game plan of ending the game fast against the elusive Ember Spirit, Darkseer, Slider, and all that is not going to work. And you may just have to settle for going late game. I mean, which normally you'd say, okay, it's fine, they got the 3 carries, but they have still no catch. They're going to have to go into that, like Blink, Abyssal is mentioned on the Juggernaut. Weaver may have to go into some kind of a lockdown item. Their late game is not going to be easy. They can just get sieged by Shadow Demon Illusions. They can get beaten down by the split push of the Ember Spirit, as we've seen. It's only going to get harder as time goes on. And, oh, No-Tail's got a Butterfly. This is going to be one damn difficult to kill Luna as far as defending the high ground goes.
You'll just see the confidence here in the top lane with that double damage rune from Ana. Will shred Velo low, but simultaneously No-Tail shoving in bottom. Has the Butterfly, as you mentioned. So the siege is only going to get tougher. And now MVP in a real pickle. They want catch for the Ember. They also want an MKB. Or some form of True Strike at least to deal with this Luna. They need a lot of items for that. They're not farming well, and even if they can deal with one, can they deal with both? And then on top of that, it's always the Shadow Demon you have to worry about. Ana just confidently shoving in the top lane, not even really backdooring Guts. The creeps are in the base. He's going to go to work on the range barracks. Every slice just to cut into the heart of MVP fans everywhere as he is just completely unafraid, and as soon as they rotate top, OG can get more aggressive bottom.
He even blink dodges the sniper auto attack. That's like rubbing it in onto QO.
I don't need this blink dagger.
Yeah.
It's pretty though.
He's just like, okay, I'll back off, wait for you to defend the other lanes, then I'll start hitting your range tracks again. I need to be a little bit careful from QO's damage, but...
I mean, he might be able to force that BKB out for free, though.
MVP's defenses are split, and that's where Shadow Demon Illusions just destroy your base. One range track's down, now they'll get to work on the melee. At some point, MVP have to engage, and they're going to lose another range track. Honor's already taken top.
They might re-engage here with the Blade Fury committed by Velo. He's even going to Manta, and as you mentioned, that's now 2 range tracks down. A melee nearly finished off bottom. Completed. Hurricane Pike going to come, and finally MVP. They've had enough. They want to leave the base. They want to get aggressive. They're going for the wraparound, but is this going to be the wraparound of dreams that they so sorely need? Velo smoke going to break. There's a Dire Ward to scout this out. Jerax even thinking about going in. There is an Omni Slash at the ready. 4F scrambling that way, but again, look at Ana up at the top lane, just easily bringing down the melee. Even if they win the fight, they're losing the war. MVP, just death by 1,000 cuts. It appears to be the story of this game number 1.
One by one, they're being picked apart. Not the heroes, it's the buildings. Honor takes the racks and then gets out. He's overstepped.
I mean, honestly, probably worth it. Not ideal. Still gets the melee.
Didn't need to die. It was one of those things where he could have just backed off, taken the melee another day, but you're up 4 racks here, and it's one of those things where if you're OG, you kind of feel like, how do you lose this game? You just keep doing this game plan. You push in bottom, you push in top. It's not going to take 1 Ember kill to lose the game. It's going to take 5 or 6 Ember kills. And how do you get 5 or 6 Ember kills with the deficit that MVP have and the heroes and the lack of catch that they have? You don't. It's just not really feasible. And well, there's Jugs Basher, but
no blink dagger. It's still tough to initiate here.
Yep.
But if they are able to lock that Ember down, maybe there's a chance. Like you said, it's not looking great. Ember out for a while. This is probably their best chance to try and get some lane pressure.
Sure.
But he has buyback.
And Luna Illusions are pushing in top, so I mean, there's no racks to claim out there, but it's still like damage onto tier 4 towers. And
with the bouncing glaives, you don't want to sleep on that damage. As No-Tail aggressively strutting forward, has the Hurricane Pike. Moving on to Velo, does get purged. Velo now wanting to back away. There's the push forward. And auto attack should be able to get the job done. The glaives continue to bounce. Almost at critical HP already, just from a slight initiation, while 4F simultaneously pumping damage into Fly, but goes for the TP out. And again, the wily veteran makes it away while the split push is back in vogue. Jerax in the bottom lane. Those Luna Illusions you mentioned just having a little nap in the top. And these creeps are stubbornly staying on the MVP side of the map.
It's one of those games kind of hard to describe and talk about MVP's ways into this game because it's going to rely on OG slipping up their plans and some great smoke usage. They're just a tool they're not going to have access to because they've already depleted all their smokes. They have none. They have just the one left on Dubu, and that's going to get him multiple kills at a key time where they can then push out the lanes. But
they might go for a jump here in 4F. They have the chain stud and burst to kill him if he's not careful. But to your point, Gods, I mean, let's not kid the viewers. They have to fuck up, and they have to do it real bad.
Yeah,
it's at that point now where the gold graph doesn't even tell the tale, but it's actually OG finding the picks here, shredding 4F on the Weaver. Quick assassination. Apparently, Sniper working against his own team as they'll move on to Febby. Febby has the borrowed time. MVP being forced back, they can't even get in range of the glaives. And when they do, they pay for it.
And now towers down. You can just safely push with the SE illusions, or you can do that.
Oh, just going to initiate immediately, borrow time from Febby as he tries to hang on through this. Velo will survive, but they've lost their Weaver. Is going to have to buy back, rejoin the fight. Velo low, the Glaives continue to pursue. Febby now on the run, and that's it. MVP completely overrun by the OG Swarm come late game. Izana, off with your head, little man. He says, we'll take care of QO, and OG just seeming very prepared. What a great Ember pick that was.
Yeah, it's something we kind of talked about while we were watching the draft. Is like, OG is one of those unusual teams. They chose second pick, and one of the beauties of second pick is you get that 10th pick of the draft, that last overall pick that cannot be counted, and they made it count. They last pick an Ember Spirit with no counters in the pool. Often, you look at your draft, you get that last man, you're like, oh, we got no stuns, let's ban a Storm. You don't think about Ember. That came out of nowhere. That was a beautiful pick for OG's draft. I think the draft was always going to have problems even without the Ember. We saw the SD Illusions and what they could do. We saw the Slatter and Darkseer, how they teamed up to win team fights. So it wasn't just the Ember Spirit pick by any means, but it definitely made OG's draft that much better.
It's just MVP do like to run a very one-dimensional style of play. You know, the rumors maybe they had, you know, some strats they were saving for the main event. But if we're ever going to see it